Hi, and welcome to the Senior Network. I'm your host, Greg Fulton, along with my co-host, Becky Davis.
Thank you for having me.
Here at the Cypress of Hilton Head.
Yeah, here in the living room of the Cypress Clubhouse, yes. And thank you so much for letting us host this for you.
Awesome. And yeah, I'm excited. Great show today. We've got two new guests, Dennis Ittenbach, PT with H.O.P.E, correct? We're going to talk a little bit more about that in your company. And Brian Tracy, attorney at law here in the area. Glad to have you. All right, Dennis, let's get into this. H.O.P.E, Life, Lymphedema, and Rehabilitation Center. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the H.O.P.E Life Lymphedema and Rehab Center really is the culmination of a 20-year vision. I've been blessed with the opportunity of working with a lot of patients over the years. I've been a practicing therapist now for about 25 years. And most of my career has always been working in the area of complex medical. Most specifically working with cancer patients. And that's where H.O.P.E comes from. H.O.P.E is actually an acronym standing for Helping Oncology Patients Enjoy Life. So we're a rehab facility that offers physical therapy and rehab services for the general population, but really our focus is for what I feel is a truly abandoned, disabled population. And those are those who have survived cancer. And in our case, it's a situation where and we were kind of talking about this even before the show started, is that by the World Health Organization's definition of disability, is a permanent and irreversible impairment to a system or systems of the body. So that anybody who's been diagnosed and treated for cancer really could be qualified as being disabled. Yet this is a population that really is not even allowed to kind of think along those lines. So they're supposed to rejoice in the celebration of being survivors. And unfortunately, when somebody has gone through treatment, when they're at their absolute worst at the end of their treatment, while before they were diagnosed, they had a, quote, normal lifestyle, because especially with today's with diagnostics, people can, with the research and everything that, and the screening processes, when people are diagnosed, they don't have any symptoms, but yet they go through, surgery, they go through chemotherapy, they go through radiation treatment, which really devastates the entire body. And when they're at their absolute worst, unfortunately, in the medical community, we kind of say, ring a bell and we'll see you in 3 months.
Move on.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's one of those times when they're, left to almost in an abandoned situation where they don't know what a new normal is supposed to be like. So they oftentimes internalize those symptoms. Or they have pain and they think that that's supposed to be their new normal, is to live with chronic pain. So that's the population that we target. Is to find hope beyond that. And our motto is thriving beyond surviving.
I love it.
So we tell,
Yeah.
like I said, we no longer use the word survivor. And personally, I don't think we should ever call anybody a cancer survivor. I don't think that's the right term. We call them cancer thrivers.
And you mentioned some stats earlier about cancer and ages. Repeat that, because it was interesting.
Well, the latest statistics are very simple. The average age of diagnosis with cancer is 65.
That's younger than I expected.
And even more sobering is the latest statistics are 1 in 2 Americans will develop cancer in their lifetime. So right now we have over 15.5 million individuals who have survived cancer. And one landmark year was 1999, was a landmark year in the area of cancer, because that was the first year where we actually started seeing a decline in the number of deaths related to cancer. But yet the number of new diagnoses continued to rise. So this is a tremendously growing population that, even in my profession of physical therapy, we really aren't addressing these chronic issues that are associated with it. And like we had mentioned earlier, is that many of these symptoms, many of these chronic impairments that individuals develop, don't develop until months, years, even decades later. Right now I'm a board-certified lymphedema therapist, and I have been for almost 15 years. And I have 2 other board-qualified lymphedema therapists with us. Right now, our record, in lymphedema is limb swelling.
That's what the legs. For folks that don't know, that's okay.
Which is a chronic lifetime condition that needs to be managed.
Because they've removed a lot of the lymph nodes
in the
diagnosis process. Yes.
Yeah,
so this is a symptom of that.
And that's a symptom because of the impairment to the lymphatic system. Our record right now is 23 years. We had somebody who had their treatment, for breast cancer, and it wasn't until 23 years later that they developed lymphedema. So that's why that education process needs to be much stronger. That personal education process needs to be done. So we're doing that, and from a rehab standpoint, being a physical therapist, that is a reimbursable type of thing. Medicare and other private insurance will pay for those services. But there's a lot of services that aren't reimbursed by insurance. So we've also created a not-for-profit fund through the Community Foundation of the Low Country, where we accept private donations, and those donations are used to offer free exercise classes for those who have been touched by cancer. For example, yoga has been proven very, very successful for breast cancer thrivers. We offer free educational services. We've had recently our inaugural class with a local esthetist on skincare after cancer. We're developing a nutritional series for nutrition and cancer. We're offering
real quick, that is so important.
Absolutely.
Because people don't realize, what you put in your body. I mean, cancer will thrive on sugars and things like that, and it's maddening to see people who have, survived, thriving through their cancer, but their diet is so poor.
Or the question is, what should my diet be?
I know, right?
What are some
Yeah.
parameters? What are some things that I should
Scary.
do? And there's so many different varieties and different variations. And so we want to try to offer at least some guidance along those lines. It may not be individualistic, but at least some general guidelines that they can work with. And that's really what we want to try to do. Is we're also wanting to offer free support groups. Right now on Hilton Head, there are no support group mechanisms for those who have been touched by cancer. So that's something that we're going to offer.
This is an important conversation. I want to continue it, but we have to have a quick break. Come back here on the Senior Network.